charge towards the end, winning 2 of the last 3 stages proper before we come here into the stadium. So some positions up for grabs. 5th, as we've described, and Henning, well, he can drop times. We've seen that before. This is how the Rally of Argentina is panning out. 35.4 seconds separate Sebastian Loeb and Marcus Gronholm, has been shadowing him all the way. Mikko Irvinen, who seems to be a sing-off with Luis Perez Companc. He'll be on board the Ford Focus, the Munchies machine. So there it is, Perez Companc. Matthew Wilson will lead us off. Then it'll be Danny Sordo and Manfred Stoll. This is the running order for you. Expecting great things from him. It will come. Just going to have to wait. He's been beaten by the electrics this time out, it seems, on board the Stollard Ford machine. Be a couple of Ford Focus RSWRCs then running together in this one. Rather confusingly, they run away from each other, and as a result, you don't really get a chance. And away we go, and a decent start as well by Luis Perez Companc. Ran 6th in 2003 in this rally. Knows his way round here, most certainly. I think we told you earlier that his brother Pablo, of course, Indy Pro Series driver, injured, and both Luis and his brother, who co-drives, actually went off to be at the bedside of Pablo, skipping the Rally of Portugal. But of course, they will be allowed to score points in the Rally Deutschland as a result, sort of. So their withdrawal from that won't hinder them too much, or at least they get a second bite of the cherry, drifting it just a little bit wide. And we saw in one of the 2 super specials that we've already had in the stadiums that the sandbags can upset matters. There has been plenty of rain, and it was rain indeed that hampered the rally and essentially expunged leg 1. Companc trails Matthew Wilson for now in this one at the second split here. Yes, just in case you didn't already know, the first opening leg of the rally on Friday was expunged. Essentially, they couldn't get everyone up from Buenos Aires in time. They had to move plane loads of drivers and drive the cars on transporters, etc. 400 miles, 700 kilometers north to Cordoba from Buenos Aires, and it seems that the super special that they had in the River Plate Stadium essentially almost wrote off the rally. They had to extend day 3 in order to get up to the right length for the rally to count as a WRC event. They've done that. As you can see, muddy conditions. You can understand almost why the transporters couldn't make it earlier on. Well, we have had a rally, thank goodness, albeit in a rather confused state and highly shortened. That said, they're all still going for it here, and Matthew Wilson is going to set our first benchmark time for us. That's what we want, and we're looking for around about 2 minutes 10. Would be a good one to start us off. Little jump there. There's not quite as much traction as we had first time around due to the wetness of the surface. Here they come. Well, the man with the yellow flag waving it frantically to just announce to everybody that they are about to come here, and also to tell the drivers to get on the brakes as quickly as possible. There isn't a great deal of stopping space for them towards the end. 2:29.8 for Matthew Wilson. The revs rise, and away we go. You have to say, absolute stormer it's been on the final day for Danny Sordo. Taken a couple of stage wins, one El Condor, both runs through at altitude, and really it is a tough ask up there. The thin air really does play havoc with the horsepower, and momentum is what it's all about, and he's lost a bit there, and that's a disaster for him. That is an absolute disaster. He's beached it here. Well. Just goes to show Danny Sordo's charge on Henning Solberg almost put to the sword. And I suspect that it is pushing just a little bit too hard. He was trying his level best. As we told you, 5th place and 4 valuable points. 5.3 seconds separating them, and Henning Solberg will be absolutely laughing down his sleeve. He's up next against Chris Atkinson, but Sordo and Henning Solberg separated by 5.3 seconds coming into this one, and that is a little disaster, you have to say. Well, no doubt about it, Manfred Stoll will just bring this one in. Manfred Very, very handy, and he'll be delighted to have had the pressure taken right off him here. It's going to be a solid finish for Stoll. He'll be in the points, that's for sure. I just wonder how far Sordo has drifted on that one. It was a terrible mistake, absolutely beached himself on the sandbags. We knew it might happen, but we thought it would just be a clip, perhaps, and maybe just 2 or 3 seconds maximum, but that was a nightmare. And you can see, well, you can't because they've got the silvered side windows on there for the anti-glare. Indeed, anti-flash photography, you have to say that as well. But that is an absolute nightmare for poor old Danny Sordo. Trailing Henning Solberg by 5.3 seconds coming into this one, and naturally enough pushing just a little bit too hard. Charging he did right through Condor. Well, that error has put paid to him going any further up the rankings, and he will, I suspect, be in 6th place by the end of this, although Chris Atkinson is 28.5 seconds behind. He didn't lose anything like that, but he certainly won't be able to close on Henning Solberg, and Henning will be taking it very steadily out there. You can be sure of that when he comes out next. It'll be Henning against Chris Atkinson. Well, that's something of a shame, because it was a battle we were hoping to enjoy here. Shame they didn't post them head-to-head, isn't it? Stoll, 2:30.6. And Sordo still to finish here. 8.5 seconds drop there. Holds position. Henning finishing 7th here in 2006. And if I'm not mistaken, could have finished a little bit higher had he not messed it up in the super special. So he's not going to do anything like that. Henning will take it very, very easy. So all eyes on Chris Atkinson. 7th in the rankings. He'd have a lot to do if he was to get back at Danny Sordo, despite the fact that he started off here trailing him by 28.5, so he trails him by 20 now, and he's not going to make that kind of time, although we want to do himself some favours and at least prove that all that talk about Chris Atkinson talking to Suzuki is in fact a rumour. Well, bumps and bruises certainly here in this stadium, and the walls taking their toll on the machinery and the bodywork. Henning going very, very smoothly. Doesn't want to get into any kind of problem here. Henning Solberg will be picking up 4 points by the end here. Well, he's still pushing reasonably hard. Neither of these drivers wanting to do any damage to their position. They're almost glued into them at the moment. And Henning, of course, always likes to beat his brother. And don't watch out for Petter, because unfortunately engine problems have put paid to Petter's challenge on leg 2 on the penultimate round in leg 2. In fact, which, as you may well already know, was indeed the opening leg due to the first being cancelled on this rally because they didn't have the cars in place. Henning looks good, doesn't he? He's quite busy about the wheel. He's not the smoothest, perhaps, but he doesn't mind an unstable surface, and that's what's played into his hands here in Argentina. Everybody loves the Rally of Argentina. You speak to anyone, the drivers in particular just think it's fantastic. Not too many surprises. It's fast, almost predictable, I suppose. What they couldn't predict this year, though, was indeed the weather, which halted them from getting from Buenos Aires up here in time for the opening day proper. And as a result, it was annulled effectively, except for the stadium. So we've had 3 stadium specials. This is the second in Cordoba and the one at the River Plate Stadium. And here comes Henning now. Again, just constantly readjusting. Not as smooth as Petter. Maybe it's the difference between them and the older of the Solbergs. It's a nice corner from Chris Atkinson. And the time, 2:30.4. Solberg 0.5 down on him. So Henning will finish this rally in 5th place. It takes him up to 15 points now in the championship table. In 3rd, it's going to be a great points haul for both of these. Let's see how they run against each other. And away they go. Well, separated by 1 minute and 24, there's going to be no change of positions, and it's just a case of them showboating their own skills probably into the crowd, but of course to each other. Real shame about Ford, and both of these drivers suffered just as Henning Solberg had. In fact, Latvala and Irvinen would have been on the podium. Well, Irvinen, I beg your pardon, would have been. He went, dropped 2 places to 5th, and Latvala dropping 3 places down to 9th. So Irvinen certainly would have been up there, and it's a real shame for him. And he set off on this rally determined to impress, and did so, taking the first 2 specials that were able to be run, both of them in the stadium, albeit. But he's been up there as well, and in fact on the final day he's been a feature of the top 5 regularly. Well, the grass bank at the back, the cheaper seats, you can see where they are, absolutely full in those zones. Been a lot of complaints about the organisation of this rally and the optimism of moving everything such a long distance. Sebastian Loeb indeed predicted it, that there would be problems ahead of this one. And so it came to pass, the weather getting the better of the rally, and believe me, they will not be doing it again. Such a vast distance to be covered with everything, the whole circus to be transported overnight. It was always going to be a problem, and then on the opening leg proper, stage after stage was cancelled until all we were left with was the stadium run right here in Cordoba, before we had 2 legs, legs 2 and 3, which were completed, thank goodness. They're split 5, they'll be coming round next time, and this looks handy. Really nicely balanced, super corner. They're on fire here. It's going to be Finland, that's for sure. 2:27.1 for Irvinen, super job. Well, once again he sets the benchmark as Latvala takes himself a little for sure. 31 rally wins, and now it's going to be 32, unless something really unfortunate happens. Loeb has totally dominated here in Argentina. As soon as we got out of the stadiums, he went to La Cumbre. Asochiga as well, victory for him. And then Villa Guiado, both directions, and Villa or Mosso, they both fell to him. And then Casquin, the second run through, absolutely stunning. He came out in the country and won the first 5 specials, and Marcus Gronholm could do nothing to get back at him. Marcus taking special stage 15 before Loeb posted another couple. Marcus then grabbed another, and then Loeb and Sordo shared them in the run for home. Well, a lot of questions being asked as to whether Marcus will be retiring at the end of the season. He's done it all, of course. He's been up there at the top step. He knows what it's like to be a champion more than once. Oh dear, and he's really pushing hard. And this is all Gronholm, this. He loves to go for it all the time, and he doesn't care if the bodywork suffers. The grand finale, you can always expect Gronholm to feature, and he may well post the fastest time. He's got work to do to beat Irvinen, though. 2:27.1 is a massive ask. And as you can see, he's hardly sparing the horses here. Sebastian, he'll be cruising round for this one. It'll be his champagne surely at the end. Such poise and such balance. He's such a cool character. Entirely rounded sports person, and even last year, remember the mountain bike accident that put him out of it? Gronholm had to chase the title with Sebastian watching on the television. Still, he'd done enough early season to take the title yet again. No wonder they say he could be the greatest ever. Well, the noise echoing around the Cordoba Stadium. Absolutely thrilling. And a great chance for the fans to see close up their heroes. And, of course, every second of the action on the stage, which is a rare thing in rallying. You hear the whistles blow, you stand back and brace yourself, and the cars come by like missiles, and then they're gone. an atmosphere all of its own. And Sebastian has stopped on course. And I'm just wondering what on earth is going on here. Waiting for his times, Loeb and Gronholm. No times have come up to be given by either of them, but we finally got it, the split, and they're just 0.08 down. There he is through the timing lines, and here comes Sebastian, just getting into position, in fact, for his champagne. Sorry about the confusion there, but our timing screens went absolutely blank on us, and I was just keeping my fingers crossed for him that something serious hadn't happened, but thank goodness they're just getting into the podium position now. So Sebastian has taken it, and Gronholm finishing in second place. It'll be 10 points to Sebastian Loeb, 48 in all, and it'll mean that Marcus Gronholm trails him by 3 in the championship. What on earth left is there for us to say about these two? Juan Pablo Reyes in the 12 car here, up against Juho Anainen in the Mitsubishi Lancer. So can't get a confirmation of the time, unfortunately, for you, for Sebastian Loeb and Marcus Gronholm, but thank goodness the timings are amended, and we've got them for at least these two, but the timing was such between Gronholm and Loeb, 35.4 seconds. It was never going to be made up, although momentarily, I must admit, I did have my worries. So we're settled into this one. Flags gently fluttering in the evening. Well, it's brightening evening as well as the clouds move away. Autumn in the southern hemisphere as we have spring in Europe, and a big push by both of these two. The Lancer of Juho Anainen running third in the PWRC class, the production class of Juan Pablo Reyes, waving the flag for Argentina. On his debut in Argentina way back in 1992. He's a real veteran, and well, a very different car he's driving, Reyes, this time. Hanainen's Mitsubishi Lancer, Reyes in his Ford Focus, the Munchies machine. First time he went round in Argentina, it was in a Renault 18 GTX. So Gronholm and Loeb not setting it alight, but doing enough. They're waiting for the interviews, etc., in the centre of the stadium here. It's victory for Sebastian Loeb, his 32nd, indeed, rally win. Unbelievable. So Reyes crosses the line as well. Travis Pastrana, if you're looking for him, we're not going to see him this evening, unfortunately. Travis having his own slight off on special stage 15, and effectively putting him out of it. 19th he is overall. But this is a production class before this rally. Former champion, of course, the Japanese, along with Tony Circum, the Aussie co-driver. Federico Viagra, ably driven, or co-driven by Diego Corletto. So 11.5 seconds between them, and Viagra is not going to try and showboat too much in front of the crowd here, because you never know. Danny Sordo got beached and lost 8.5 seconds, and that would just cut it a little bit too close. The Toshi Arai breathing down his neck, and you can see, well, he's not quite comfortable and settled in. You know this course, don't forget, it's the second time round this stadium in Cordoba. It's the third stadium super special that we've had on this rally, Buenos Aires being the first. We won't be doing that again, that's for sure. So Toshi Arai and Viagra head-to-head here. It's about production class honours. but it's going to go to Federico Viagra, and a big cheer they will have for him at the end of this one. It'll be 10 points for him in the production class, the old Group N. And Toshi, well, he will take over at the lead, at the head of the championship table. Christian Solberg, his joint leader, or he led him by a point, I have to say. Solberg going off with steering trouble, special stage 11, and effectively handing over the reins of the production class to Toshi Arai, who's doing a decent job around here. They're not pushing it as hard at all. Production class cars, save for the safety amendments, which are so essential in rallying, and more or less the cars that you can actually just go out and buy. So good ad for them. And you have to say most of them these days seem to be Mitsubishi Lancers and Subaru Imprezas. So expect these times to be just slightly adrift of the main class, around about 2:35 to 2:40. Not quite so much technology on board, but in the hands of able drivers like Viagra and Arai, nonetheless thrilling to watch. Timing lights await them. 2:30.6 for Arai. That's quick. That is quick. Viagra just 2.2 seconds down, but he takes the class win here, including Niall McShay, and I hope we get back for him in time because he's up next against Gabriel Pozzo. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a few moments' time, live here in Cordoba on Eurosport 2. And welcome back. The 54 car being driven by Gabriel Pozzo, the Mitsubishi Lancer up against the Subaru of Niall McShay, the Ulsterman and production class champion in 2004. And in fact, they've skipped him and gone to Legato, which is a shame for us. Never mind, maybe we'll see Niall up in just a moment. I do hope so. Marcus Legato, it's a brace of Mitsubishi Lancers out there. They've changed the running order on us, so our apologies for that, but what can we do? It's what live TV is all about, and I hope that we'll see Niall McShay up in just a moment's time. As it is, we've got Marcus Legato. It's an all Argentinian affair, as Marcus Gronholm looks on. Looks slightly rueful, does he not? Pozzo and Legato, both ACA invitations, Automobile Club de Argentina, 13th and 14th in the ranking. That side, they've posted them together, but separated by a goodly margin, 1 minute 16 ahead of this, so nothing's going to change in terms of their positions. And I do hope that we get McShay coming out. He's 15th on the leaderboard, and we'll see who he races against in just a moment's time. Well, the crowd's been amazingly well behaved. There's no shenanigans, no kind of wood or rocks in the road. They do behave themselves, and they do love the Argentines. They have a great sense of fair play. And as you can see, the crowds really have turned out in force here in Cordoba on what has been a little bit of a damp day. They love their rallying, and they've proved it once again. Split 5, 2 minutes 4.9 for Pozzo, in the lead and by a huge margin ahead of Legato. But such is the margin that they're separated in the standings, it's not going to make any difference at all here. And Pozzo takes it at a 2:32.3. Up of the WRC, and they're all waiting to drive up. Come on, fellas, clear the podium. We're running out of time. And dutifully they prepare to shift off. Well, what a run it's been, and real push by Marcus Gronholm to try and stay in touch with Sebastian Loeb. Information of how they finished this stage. Sebastian Loeb indeed quickest around here, the 2:25.4, with Marcus closest to him. They almost made it look effortless, and 4 Fords trailing the Citroën of Sebastian Loeb, with Manfred Stoll down in 8th place. That on this stage, of course. For the tree once again, Izzy inevitably heading for yet another Rally Championship title. Well, he's made a hat-trick here in Argentina, and he leads the standings by 3 points now. Came here leading by 1. He's extended that with victory here over Marcus Gronholm and the rest, and totally dominated the leg that mattered, the opener as it was, leg 2, in the absence of the opening leg 1. And it was Sebastian, of course, that warned us that, particularly with bad weather, and as a result, being very careful about that roof, aren't they? As a result, they had to cancel the first full day. Sebastian Loeb said it might happen, kept his focus though, and when they finally got off the leash, boy oh boy was he going for it. Taking special stages 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14 before Gronholm could finally snatch one back.